There are people who walk through chaos, almost untouched by it. The world could be burning around them, and somehow they're still composed, breathing, steady, and almost strangely peaceful. You've seen them in the office, at home, or maybe even online. That person who never raises their voice, never panics, never seems to lose control. And if you're anything like most of us, a part of you might have wondered, how do they do it? What's going on inside the mind of someone who stays calm when everyone else is falling apart? Because let's be honest, staying calm isn't easy, especially not in a world that's constantly testing your patience, feeding you noise, pressure, and endless comparisons. I used to think calm people were just naturally born that way, that they had some rare gene or childhood advantage that made them immune to anxiety. But the more I studied psychology, the more I realized calm isn't a gift, it's a skill shaped by a very specific set of psychological traits, habits, and philosophies that anyone, including you, can learn. And that's where this story begins. See, I wanted to understand what separates the people who remain composed in storms from those who crumble under the smallest wave. So I started digging into studies on emotional regulation, self-control, and cognitive reframing. And the deeper I went, the more I realized calm people don't avoid chaos. They reinterpret it. Here's what I mean. When something goes wrong, let's say a flight gets delayed or a friend cancels plans last minute, most people instantly move into emotional reaction. This is unfair. Why does this always happen to me? But calm people, their first instinct isn't reaction, it's reflection. Their brain runs a quick check. Can I control this? No? Then I don't give it emotional power. This mindset might sound simple, but it's deeply rooted in what psychologists call locus of control. The belief about whether you control your life's outcomes, or if external forces do. Calm people almost always have a strong internal locus of control. It means they've trained their minds to focus on what's within their influence and release what isn't. And when you think about it, that's where calm really comes from. From a quiet agreement between your mind and reality that says, I'll do my best and let the rest be. But here's where it gets fascinating. Calmness isn't passive. It's not just sitting back and pretending not to care. True calmness is active emotional mastery. It's the kind of strength that hides beneath softness. There's a famous study from Stanford where participants were exposed to stressful situations, things designed to trigger anxiety, like social rejection or loss of control. What researchers found was that those who could maintain calm shared one thing in common. They engaged the prefrontal cortex faster, the part of your brain responsible for logic, regulation, and long-term thinking. In other words, calm people literally think before they feel. Their brains step in and say, wait, let's make sense of this before we react. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but how do they do that in the moment? How do they stay rational when life feels unfair or painful? This is where the first big curiosity loop opens. It's not that calm people don't feel emotion, they just don't identify with it. Let that sink in for a moment. When most of us feel anger, we become angry. When we feel anxious, we become anxious. Calm people observe those emotions like passing clouds. They let them move through without mistaking them for the sky. In mindfulness research, this is called decentering. The ability to step outside of your thoughts and feelings and see them as temporary experiences, not definitions of who you are. It's one of the core habits of emotionally resilient people. They don't suppress emotion, they simply refuse to let it control the narrative. And here's something even deeper. Calm people often have what's known as low neuroticism, one of the big 5 personality traits in psychology. It means they're less reactive to stress and less prone to mood swings. But this doesn't mean they're emotionally numb. It means their emotions move through a filter of perspective. They've practiced the art of inner delay, the pause between what happens and how they choose to respond. Think of it like this. Imagine your mind as a lake. Most people's lakes are stirred by every small stone that drops. Thoughts, opinions, inconveniences. But calm people? Their water is deeper. The surface might ripple, but the depth stays still. And the deeper question is, how do you become like that? How do you build a lake that doesn't lose its reflection every time life throws a stone? Here's the first secret. Calmness grows from acceptance, not avoidance. We live in a culture that tells us to fix everything, to change every emotion that feels uncomfortable. But calm people don't fight every thought. They let discomfort exist without judgment. They understand that peace isn't the absence of emotion, it's the acceptance of emotion. This comes from a psychological principle known as radical acceptance, the willingness to accept life as it is, not as we wish it to be. It's the same mindset used in dialectical behavior therapy to help people deal with stress and emotional turmoil. And the paradox is beautiful. The moment you stop fighting reality, you reclaim control. Now, there's another layer most people don't see. Calm people also think differently about time. They live slower, not in speed, but in presence. They understand that rushing doesn't make life happen faster. It only makes it blurrier. When you watch calm people, it's like they're operating one frame slower than everyone else, because they're fully in the frame. They're not lost in future worry or past regret. They live where life actually happens, here. Neuroscientists call this temporal awareness, the ability to stay psychologically present instead of time traveling into anxiety or nostalgia. But what's even more interesting is that calm people often carry a quiet philosophy. Something like, I don't need to control everything to be okay. And that single belief changes everything. Because the opposite of calm isn't chaos, it's control. The more you try to control every detail, every outcome, every emotion, the more your nervous system lives in tension. Calmness is the art of releasing control without losing care. And maybe that's the hardest thing to learn. Because most of us are taught that strength looks like dominance, like always being in charge. But calm people know that real strength is surrender. It's the discipline to trust what you can't predict and the courage to stay soft in a world that keeps hardening you. Here's a strange fact you might not expect. Calm people often experience less dopamine volatility. That means their reward systems aren't as reactive to highs and lows. They don't chase constant stimulation. They don't need to scroll, refresh, or escape. They're grounded, content in stillness. And this is key, because calm isn't built in quiet rooms. It's built in moments of temptation, the moments where you could react, rush, explode. But don't. Each time you resist that impulse, you're rewiring your brain toward balance. So if you've ever looked at someone who seems effortlessly composed and wondered, why can't I be like that? Remember this, you can. You just haven't built the muscle yet. Calmness isn't a mood, it's a form of intelligence. And in part 2, we're going to go deeper into the hidden psychological mechanics behind this intelligence, the habits, thoughts, and tiny daily practices that shape a calm brain, and how you can start building one yourself, no matter how overactive your mind feels right now. Because calm isn't just peace, it's power. And once you understand where it comes from, you'll never see chaos the same way again. So here's the question. If calmness is a skill, not a personality trait, how do you build it? How do you actually train your mind to stay steady when life tries to shake you? The answer isn't in meditation apps or perfect morning routines. It's in how you interpret the world, moment by moment. Let's start with one of the most underrated psychological traits calm people share. Emotional granularity. It's the ability to describe your feelings precisely. Most people say, I'm stressed, but calm people can say, I feel overwhelmed because I have too many competing demands and I'm afraid of disappointing others. That level of clarity reduces emotional intensity. When you can name an emotion accurately, you take away its power to control you. Neuroscientists have shown that simply labeling an emotion reduces amygdala activation, the part of your brain that processes fear and threat. Calm people don't just feel, they understand what they feel. That's emotional intelligence in its purest form. Another trait? They have low reactivity and high reflection. When something triggers them, they don't respond instantly. They pause. They give their emotions a moment to breathe before they act. That pause, just 2 or 3 seconds, is everything. In those few seconds, your brain can shift from survival to strategy, from reaction to response. But that pause doesn't appear overnight. It's built over hundreds of moments where you choose patience instead of panic. Every time you decide not to send that angry message, not to interrupt, not to argue just to win, you're strengthening your calm reflex. Now, here's the second curiosity loop. Calm people don't depend on peaceful environments to be calm. They bring calm into chaotic environments. It's internal, not external. In psychology, there's a concept called self-efficacy, the belief that you can handle what life throws at you. Calm people have high self-efficacy. They don't expect things to be easy. They expect themselves to be capable. So when stress comes, they don't think, "Why me?" They think, "I can deal with this." That subtle shift changes everything, because anxiety is often just uncertainty mixed with self-doubt. Remove the doubt, and uncertainty becomes adventure. And there's something beautifully paradoxical about this. Calm people often come from experiences that once made them anything but calm. They face loss, failure, embarrassment, and disappointment. But instead of letting those moments harden them, they use them as teachers. They learned that panic never made things better, that the storm always passes, and that no feeling, no matter how strong, lasts forever. There's a quiet wisdom that grows from realizing that emotions are weather, not climate. They come, they go. You don't have to chase the sun or fear the rain. Here's another layer of the psychology behind calm. Cognitive reframing. Calm people constantly reinterpret what happens to them. When something bad occurs, they don't jump to, "This is terrible." They think, "What can I learn from this?" They transform frustration into feedback. That's not toxic positivity, it's cognitive maturity. It's the same principle Viktor Frankl wrote about. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom. Calm people live in that space. But let's make this practical. What do calm people actually do differently? They breathe consciously. Breathing seems simple, but it's literally how your body talks to your nervous system. Slow breathing lowers cortisol, slows heart rate, and tells your brain, "We're safe." The calmest people you know probably have the quietest breath. They also use micro-detachment, taking small mental steps back from situations before reacting. For instance, instead of thinking, "This person is insulting me," they think, "This person's words are a reflection of their emotional state, not my worth." That's psychological distance, and it's one of the strongest tools for emotional regulation ever studied. And here's something few people realize. Calm people aren't calm because their lives are easy. They're calm because they don't internalize chaos. They understand that not every fire needs their attention. Some things can burn without you. It's emotional minimalism. They don't clutter their mind with every possible outcome. They focus only on what matters now. And that connects to another truth. Calm people value stillness. In a world obsessed with movement, they protect moments of silence like sacred rituals. It could be a walk without headphones, 5 minutes of deep breathing, or just sitting and watching light move across a wall. Those pauses recalibrate the nervous system. They also practice what psychologists call meta-awareness, awareness of awareness itself. They can notice their own thoughts while thinking. That gives them perspective, like watching traffic instead of being stuck in it. But there's something more subtle happening under all of this, a philosophy. Calm people often see life through a lens of impermanence. They know that everything changes, joy, pain, success, failure, so they don't cling, they don't resist, they flow. That belief, that everything is temporary, is the root of serenity. Because if nothing lasts forever, neither does the storm. You see it in their language too. Calm people rarely use absolute phrases like always or never. They speak in gradients. "This is difficult right now," or "I feel upset today." It's a psychological nuance that keeps emotions flexible instead of fixed. And here's something poetic. Calm people often have a small circle, not because they're antisocial, but because they protect their peace. They understand that emotional energy is limited, and not every battle deserves your presence. They choose response over reaction, connection over chaos. Now, let's loop back to curiosity. There's a hidden connection between calmness and curiosity itself. Calm people are more curious than reactive. Instead of judging situations immediately, they ask, "Why is this happening?" Or, "What can this teach me?" That sense of wonder replaces frustration with understanding. In fact, research from Harvard's mindfulness studies shows that curiosity activates the same regions of the brain that anxiety does. But with opposite emotional outcomes, curiosity converts threat into fascination. It's why calm people often appear thoughtful rather than defensive. And maybe the most beautiful part of calm psychology is this. Calm people forgive, not just others, but themselves. They know that self-blame is just another form of control, an attempt to rewrite the past. So they let it go. They understand that peace isn't something you find, it's something you stop disturbing. Now, let's talk about the cost of calm, because yes, there is one. Calm people are often misunderstood. People might mistake their composure for indifference, but what they really are is free. They've learned that you don't have to react to prove you care. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't have to fight everything to matter. And that's the paradox. Calm people feel deeply, but act slowly. They care intensely, but express gently. Their calm is not absence, it's mastery. Imagine what your life would feel like if you embodied that kind of calm. If your mind stopped racing every time something went wrong. If you trusted your ability to handle the next thing without panic. That kind of calm doesn't just change how you live. It changes who you are. You start walking differently, speaking differently. People feel safer around you because you're not feeding the noise, you're dissolving it. And maybe that's the real reason calm people are so magnetic. They remind us of something we've forgotten, that peace isn't outside of us, it's a home we return to. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, try this. Pause, breathe once, slowly. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If not, can I let it pass through me instead of fighting it? That single choice, to release instead of resist, is the beginning of calm. And over time, you'll start noticing something incredible. The world won't change, but your relationship with it will. Things that used to steal your peace will barely touch you. You'll begin to realize that calmness isn't escaping chaos. It's mastering your reaction to it. Because true calm isn't silence, it's strength in stillness. It's knowing that whatever happens, you'll find your footing again. It's walking through storms and remembering, the sky was never gone. That's the psychology of people who are always calm. Not emotionless, not detached, just deeply alive, and wise enough not to let the noise decide who they are.